Welcome to Get a Clue, Casual Gamer. Today we're going to talk about a game that has been around for a while. I realized when I was looking over the games that I have done up to now that a lot of them are the newer stuff. And there's probably games that either maybe you've already played this and you don't even need to watch this video. I hope this will help you though, or maybe show it to a friend or a family member to help explain this game that you want them to play with you. Maybe that's the reason for this. But today we're going to look at a classic, a game classic, but not mass market, though it's been out for 26 years. So now there are a lot of stores that will carry this game because it's a modern classic. And it is, well, actually, I have to tell you, my copy of the base game is a used copy that I bought. Probably when they changed names, the owner wanted something new, or they'd played it for so many years they decided to sell it so they'd have money for something newer. But nowadays, this is called simply Catan. It originally was called Settlers of Catan, or The Settlers of Catan. But now it's just called Catan, and all the new boxes will just say Catan on them. This is the base game. This is the original game. There are all kinds of expansions for it to change it up a little. Like I say, it's been around for 26 years, but we're going to be looking at the base game and actually one of the expansions, but a base game expansion, not a extra special kind of thing. The expansion that we're looking at plays the same as. It's just adding people to it. So this is Settlers of Catan. Let's get a clue, C-L-U-E, about this game. C for components, L for length of play, U for uniqueness, and E for ease. C, components. What are you going to find when you open this box? You're going to find a lot of things that if you're not a gamer, if you haven't played a lot of games, of the newer games, it might seem like a lot, and it might seem very confusing. And I'm here to try and help you understand that it's really not that confusing. But here's some of the things you're going to find. First of all, you need to make the board. Yes, this is a not prefabbed board. You make the board. You make it with 6 of these that makes a nice hexagon, and inside of that framework, which changes position every time you play, you're going to put in these little hexagon shaped tiles, and there are 5 different, well, technically there's 6 different terrains, but one is desert, and you don't want, there's only one desert, but you're going to have several that are forests, woods. You're going to have wheat fields. You're going to have brick or mud fields, pastures for sheep, and the rocks, mountains. Whoops, sorry, rocks, mountains. And you have these, and they go in. Technically, you put them in however you just randomly. Though the instruction book, which is also in the box, will have a setup for the first time, so that you have specific places and specific numbers for each of these, because these go inside of that framework, and then excuse me excuse me, then these little circles with numbers on them go on top of each tile, giving it its dice number, because when you roll the dice, you are going to, if you have a settlement attached to a tile that has that number on it, you get the resources from that tile. For instance, if you have this one, you get woods. If you have the wheat, you get, upside down wheat. If you have these red mud fields, you get brick. Pastures, sheep. And mountains, rocks. Now, you get all of those because also in your box, each player is going to have one of these building cost tiles to remind you of what you need. Because if you want to build a road, you're going to need a brick and some wood. For a settlement, you need a brick, wood, wheat, and a sheep. For a city, you need 2 sheep, 3 rocks, and for a development card, you're going to need a sheep, a wheat, and a rock. So that leads us to, so you need those cards to buy more stuff, and that leads us to the development cards, which have a variety of choices. Most of them will be knights. And then you'll have Year Plenty, Monopoly, Road Building, Chapel, Market, Palace, Library, and University. These each give you 1 victory point. The road one lets you build 2 roads for free. They each have their own thing. I mentioned the knights because if at the end of the game you have the most knights of everybody else, you get extra 2 victory points for having the largest army. But also, if you have one long continuous road, you also can get the 2 victory points for having the longest road. And so you have the cards, all these things, but each player will have a collection of these. These are roads, these are settlements, and cities. These are the things that you're trying to build on the board. And I'm looking, and I think that's it. Well, there's this one token here, the thief or the robber, depending on what you want to call him. And he's part of the gameplay. To win is the first person, well, you need to have 10 points. 10 points to win. So you could have the longest, any road over 5 starts the longest road, and this card can go from player to player depending on how long their road is in the game. They can add a couple more, say, give me that, my road is longer than yours now, and now all of a sudden you have 2 extra points. So if you had 8 points and you just built your road so that you get these 2, you've got 10 points. You can win the game now. So, and the same with the largest army. It's like, oh, I've got another knight. I've got 4 knights and you only have 3. Give me that largest army now. Now I have 2 more points and you have 2 less points than you thought you had. And those, plus of course the rules, are the components. The components inside this box. That's it. Now, L for length of play. I will say this is, out of all the ones I've done, all these little videos I've done, this is the longest game. It definitely will run an hour, and it could run as long as 2. But you're always doing things, so the time goes pretty well. You don't notice how long it's been until the game's over and you go, oh, okay, that took us an hour and a half. Okay. So length of play is 1 to 2 hours. And uniqueness. Now, uniqueness, it is unique, and it was really the beginner of variable boards. Yeah, because we grew up, I don't know about you, but I grew up with, a Monopoly board, you opened it up. A Clue board, you opened it up. Sorry, Parcheesi, you know, even Chinese checkers, it's like you have a board and let's play this game. Catan, again, Catan was one that changed that up. So every time you play the game, it's going to be different. You can make it as variable as you want. I've played it with people who put out the framework and then put the tiles in upside down randomly, and then put the little number tokens on top of each one upside down randomly, and then without knowing, it's like did that. Then we turn over the tiles so that we can see the terrain, but we keep the numbers still upside down, and then we choose our first settlement and road and our second settlement and road, and then we turn over the numbers, and that can change the game completely. But you don't have to be that random. That's for once you're tired of doing it in a similar fashion where you're seeing things, you do it randomly. I mean, yeah, there's so much variability in this game, but it's not that tough. You are, at the beginning of the game, you have the 2 settlements and 2 roads, and so when it's your turn and you roll the dice, if a number comes up that you have a settlement next to a thing, you get the corresponding card. And you collect these cards, and once you have them, enough of something, you have a brick and a road, logs. I say, next turn, I say, I'm going to build a road, and you take that and you build a road. If you have more cards, you can do more. You can keep on going until there's nothing else you want to do, and then it's the next person's turn, and they roll the dice and they do their thing. So uniqueness. It's different in that way, but the concept of building, buying, it has that little bit of that Monopoly feel to it. You're building, you're buying, you're putting out on the board settlements, and then you can upgrade them to cities, house to a hotel, and there's that variability there, but that sameness a little with the concept of Monopoly. It's like, okay, I understand the concept that I need to buy the house, pay for the house, and then I can upgrade it to a hotel. Okay, well, here I buy a settlement, and then I can build it up to a city. Okay, I understand this concept. I get double money if I have a city on there and the number shows up on the die. So that uniqueness, it's kind of like, it's very unique, but there are a lot of games that have come out since then, but this is a good beginning game, a good bridge game, a bridge from mass market, from Monopoly to the newer games. And it's still a classic. I mean, it's a classic. No. Sorry, my dog is trying to get my attention. No. And so, that's the uniqueness of it. Ease. How easy is it to learn, teach, play? How easy is it to find? How easy is it on your pocketbook? Well, easy to learn. Yes, it's a little bit more complex than what you might be used to with just rolling and moving your pawn, but it's really not that hard. I mean, it still depends on the roll of the dice and the placement of your settlements, and so some people in the gaming world don't like it because you depend on dice to get resources. And you'll find more and more in the gaming world that games have moved away from using dice for movement or for abilities. Either they don't use dice or they're almost all dice. There's not much of the roll dice and take a chance to see if you get something, if you get to move or whatever. But The game, it comes with this big booklet, and you're like, oh no, can I manage all this? Okay, so like I said, this is actually the first setup they suggest. If you're a beginner, this is the way to set it up. And then the basic rules are these pages where they tell you what everything is. Half of it is what I've already just told you. And then the rest is what's called an almanac. And it will tell you, it's kind of like a description of any verbiage they used, any, what is the coast? What are cities? What is the desert? What are development cards? These are the development cards. The ending of the game, and then it goes, and it's alphabetical. So it's like progress cards, paths, and it just takes it step by step so that if you have questions, you go to the almanac. But the rules themselves are basically this. And most of this is the setup and then the play. So, yes, it's not as easy as, sorry. But it's not as hard as chess. Okay? So, easy to learn. It's more in the medium for a beginner, for a first timer. It's more in the medium, but it's nowhere near difficult. It's in Board Game Geek website. People rank every game that they've played, and they can. It's people oriented. It's not scientific or anything. People just put in what they think the weight of the game is after they've played it, and it can be anywhere from 1 to 5. And Catan comes in at 2.31, so it's over 2, but it's nowhere as complex as games can be. And I have played games that are in the 3s and even in the low 4s, but mostly my hardest ones that I've played are in the 3s. This is a 2.31, so it's not the hardest by far, but it's it's going to be more than playing Uno, which is a 1.05, I think. Anyway, I mean, Old Maid is 1.05, so perspective here. So that's easy for that. Ease of finding. It has been out for 26 years. It is a staple game. It is a bridge game. It is, you can find it in a lot of places. You can find it in a lot of stores. Definitely you can find it at places like Target. Probably find it at Walmart. You can find it on Amazon, and of course miniaturemarket.com and gamenerds.com, those kind of places. Easy on the pocketbook. The retail price is around $55, but right now I saw 2 different places yesterday where they had it on sale for $35 and change. So that's where I'm going with. It's like $35 and change. Or you could do what I did a few years ago, because I've had this for a few years, but a few years ago I bought this one secondhand, probably on eBay. And you might be able to get, a good price on that. You might even find people can find them sometimes in the thrift stores and places like that. So it doesn't have to be as dear as the retail price is. Get a look out there. It's Catan. It's everywhere, but you want the base game. This red and gold box. All the others are different colors and stuff. You want this red and gold Catan, the base game. Not Catan Cities and Nights, not Catan Seafarers, there's all kinds of other Catans expansions that that you add to this to make it more complicated. You want the base game. But here's my butt. Oh, no, not that one. Sorry, that was crass. Um, if you have more than 4 players, because the base game comes with enough for 2 to 4 players. You have 4 different colors and 4 different color rimmed things. This is for the white color, this is red, and then there's blue and gold in the base game. But what if you have 5 or 6 players? Well, then you can get the base game expansion, which is the 5 and 6 player expansion. It's also the red and gold box, so you know that it matches with that. And this gives you all the same items, but a little bit more of it, so that you can make a little bit larger board and add a little bit more tiles in it, so that you have room enough for 2 more players and more of these cards and more of these cards. And so all together you can play up to 6 players. So keep that in mind also. And it's also now called Catan as well. Again, I'm pretty sure I bought these at the same time, and so I got somebody's Settlers of Catan, though this had never been used. I literally had to cut open the box that had the little pieces in it, the bag that had the little pieces in it. And yes, this is my organization. It does not come nice and neat like this. It comes all together and I separate them. But 5-6 player expansion is good to have for more players. And also, I have a little thing to say. Sometimes when you have a lot of little pieces like this and you want to keep them organized rather than just a pile on the table, a lot of people in the game world, I mean, there are little containers that you can buy and stuff. I like these little flexible cupcake holders, because everyone can have their own and just keep their pieces in it. And then they are generic, so I keep them in a supply bag that I can take with any game. And if the game needs something, I have a bunch of these and just pull them out. They squish up, they don't take up a lot of space, and they work with any game. You can also get little containers like this at the Dollar Tree if you have room in the box and you want to just keep them always in their own little plastic container. Usually if you want to do something like this, you're going to have to take the insert out of the box that the game came in. Some people don't like to do that, some people do. Some people immediately take it out and throw it away, and others keep it. I usually keep them. I mean, my insert here is like that, so you know, everything has its place. They don't always stay in their place though, which is why a lot of people will do that, which is why I do this at least, so that it keeps them in their place while in the box. But yeah, these are a little hint to use, and I hope this helped you get a clue, C-L-U-E, sorry, about a game, a classic game. It's been out for 26 years now. 1995 is when it came out. Catan. It can open your eyes if you have never played any of the newer games. It will open your eyes to how much more fun a game can be when it's not always the same. It changes. Yet the mechanics of it, the mechanisms in the game stay the same. It's just that the board keeps on changing, and there's a variable, and it keeps it fresh. So until next time, happy gaming. God bless you and your family, and I'll see you next time. Bye.